Welcome to the Offer Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Michelle.
And I'm your host, Gina.
And we are so glad you're here with us today. Today, we have our very good friend, Emmaline Kozak. She's here with us on the podcast in the event space, right above the coffee shop. We're so excited that you're here, Emmaline. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
I'm really
you for
happy
being
to be
here.
here.
Yeah. It's
We're
so good.
Happy. We've been waiting.
We really have. We really have. Yeah. Many of you may know or may not know, but Emmaline and her husband, Kevin, they own Burgaw Brewing right down in downtown Burgaw. And we actually are address twins, kind of, because we both have a 103 address. She's 103 Wright Street, just around the corner, and we're 103 Fremont. So that's pretty cool.
It is cool. I think it's very fitting for us.
I think it is too.
Two women in business making it happen.
That's right.
Know?
Exactly.
And just for our friendship.
Yes.
I love it.
I love it too.
Well, Emmaline, we just would love to hear more about your story. And, that's sort of the thing here at Offer Your Voice is that everyone has a story and every story matters. And so we want to hear more about yours. Some we know, some we probably don't. So that's exciting. So we just want to dig right in, jump in. Let's start sort of at the beginning and then you just tell us about your life.
Okay, sure. Yeah. And please speed me along if I drag things out.
Oh, no worries. We're in long format. You're fine. You just talk as much as you want. We're just chit-chatting with our friends.
I can definitely talk. So
Same. That's us too.
Yeah. But that's the whole point of a podcast, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I guess we can go back to kind of my upbringing. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the military for a very long time. So I grew up on, living on a military base or moving every 3 years or so. As a kid, it's really hard for you to make connections and then start over.
Yeah.
So it's hard as an adult too to make friends.
Absolutely.
So I think for me, friendship was something that I kind of took off the table for myself, like those deep friendsps. I think it was I kind of put up a wall.
Like a little coping mechanism. Yeah, when you had to move so much.
Yeah, because it's almost like I'm spending this time, I'm putting myself out there, and it's scary, and I'm trying to make these connections, and then I'm just going to lose that person,
and then it's sad.
Yeah, and it is because you meet a lot of great people. We had a lot of great family friends who had kids and all of those things, but I think for me it was just like, I'll kind of do what I need to do to make sure that these people feel happy and connected, but I'm just kind of, keep myself kind of tucked away.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of my childhood. And I think it caused a lot of issues for me with like being able to connect to people.
Yeah.
And so I've lived mostly on a military base, and there's not much going on for kids, and so that was another challenge. I was also homeschooled, so that was another challenge with making friends. And so we moved a lot, and then we ended up in Pennsylvania when my dad retired. Pennsylvania was the place I lived the longest, but now I'm coming up on living longer in North Carolina than I have anywhere else.
It's amazing.
So
got your own roots.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It feels really exciting for me because it's the life that I created and I chose. And, it's beautiful. The place I want to be. So I really feel grateful to be, to be here and be in Burgaw and be making those connections and having those roots. But when I was a kid and I lived on the military base at Camp Lejeune, there was nothing there, and my parents would kind of put us all in the car. It was me and my brother and my two sisters, and they'd kind of...
How many siblings altogether?
So I have 4 siblings and me, so it's 5.
5 of you guys. Okay.
2 of my siblings are older. So my oldest brother was kind of out of the house by that time. But then, it was my older sister, my older brother, and then me, and I have a younger sister. But my parents would put us in the car, and we would go for drives because there was nothing.
There
was nothing, And we would drive through Burgaw.
Oh.
And
that's
my
cool.
mom...
That is cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we would drive through Burgaw, and my mom would always just be like, I love this town. I love it. It's so cute. And, in my head as, like a 11, 12-year-old, I was like, this is like a real place where people live. Yeah. They get to do every day here. Yes. They don't have to
they have
move
community.
Away.
They have connection.
Like it was like this, like in my head, it was like this magical,
I love
thing.
that, Emmaline.
And
that's amazing. I love that so much.
And I mean, I think it also helps that like our town is so cute and quaint.
Oh, for sure.
It gives you that vibe of like...
Yeah, everybody says it's like a little Hallmark town. For sure.
It is.
Especially at Christmas.
Yeah. And that's really what I had like in my brain was like, this is it. This is where, people make connections.
Yes, good.
So I guess fast forward, I was living in Pennsylvania with my family and I got married at a young age, thinking this is what you do. You get married, and that was not a healthy relationship.
I'm so sorry.
And well, you know what? Sometimes we make choices and we have to learn from them.
Right. Yeah, sometimes we have to learn our lessons hard way.
Yeah. And it was one
and we grow.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where it was very, very tough at the time because, it's that, well, did I fail? Or no, it just wasn't, we weren't right for each other. And so I left that relationship, and
I'm sure that was just a hard decision and just trying to figure out how to navigate that time.
Yeah, it really was for me.
Did you have some people in your life that were able to support you in that, or did you have to feel like you kind of had to go it alone?
It was kind of a go it alone thing for a little while.
Yep, that's tough.
Because of my upbringing and the beliefs that my family had, divorce is not an option.
Okay.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
My, not to speak ill of anyone, but we were young and my ex-husband was not very nice. He had to figure himself out too. It was not a good time for us to be together. Right. So I left that relationship and ended
just
up
sort of young, immature, unable to connect in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know I was 23.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who I am. How am I supposed to have, and there's plenty of people that do it, my sister's been married for, goodness, she's been married for like 25 years and she got married very young, younger than I did. Yeah. And her husband are, they have a great relationship.
Yeah. My brother got married very young as well. Yeah.
And it works for some people.
Absolutely.
I think for me, it just didn't work because I was not in a place where I knew myself enough to connect and to figure it out.
Well, and if the other person was unkind, again, not to speak ill, I certainly don't even know who that person is. Yeah. They may be great today, who knows, but I'm a firm believer that we teach people how to treat us. And so be a good teacher.
Yeah.
And that's what you were. You were being a good teacher for yourself and saying that this is not okay. As hard as it was, but you probably didn't even recognize that at the time. You're just like, this is not okay.
Yeah. And I didn't. And thank you for saying that, because framing it that way really puts it into perspective for me, because it still is that thing where you feel like, oh, well, maybe I failed. Maybe I didn't do what I should have done. But no, I was learning.
And you were valuing yourself in the middle of that.
Yeah, which was really hard for me to do. I mean, there was a lot of like guilt around like, am I being selfish? Am I, But no, I think sometimes life is bigger than we realize.
Sure. It absolutely is. And each season, comes with its different challenges and different expression. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that relationship kind of ended, didn't really end well.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? It's okay.
Yeah. I know that you learned things.
It was a time that just had to happen, I think, in order for me to come out of my shell and put myself first and to realize that I matter. I needed to be, not needed, but I was in a situation that really taught me that.
We had to navigate tricky waters, and to what you've already said, you didn't have a ton, other than your family, a ton of other interpersonal relationships on how to learn how to navigate some of those things and how we are treated, and that this is not okay, or whatever that looks like. But that young girl that's saying, oh, well, Emmaline has it all together. And the truth is you probably do have a lot together, but your journey also is part of this puzzle that's, put one piece in at a time and allowed you to become who you are. Still growing, of course, but
as we always do, lifelong learners.
Of course,
continuing to grow.
And we don't see what the whole picture is yet because we don't have all the pieces in there. But
you're talking to the ace puzzle putter together.
But we'll find the pieces in the right time, and we'll get it together. I think that's a really good analogy, because it is true. I think people will look at you from the outside and think like, oh, well, Gina has it all together. Michelle has it all together. They're doing all of these things. They're doing. Yes. And you are doing amazing things.
Yeah. But you're
we are
continuing
humans.
to grow and learn every day, every single day.
And
That's
if you're not, you're doing yourself and everyone around you a disservice,
right. And like you said, introspection, you have to kind of evaluate those things and, which sounds like you did in that situation. And then also valued yourself, which I think that's so, so important.
I agree. I think we, as people, we have this fine line of, I want to value myself, but I don't want to seem egotistical or full of myself.
Sure.
And it's almost like a stigma where if you love yourself too much or if you love yourself at all,
right.
people are like, oh, well, that's not cool. Well, we have to love ourselves first.
Yeah. Well, how do you love if you don't know love and you have to value that yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. So I was in that relationship and it ended and I hadn't quite learned all of my lessons yet. I went into another relationship with someone who Did
you feel like it was sort of a rebound kind of scenario?
Well, yes and no. I think at first I didn't even realize it was a relationship because of the way that it came about and the manipulation that was happening. And so I found myself in this situation where suddenly I'm trying to figure out who I am away from this marriage that didn't work. And suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person. And it was a very controlling relationship. It was a very toxic. This person was quite a bit older than me. I think saw that I was unsure of myself and kind of
vulnerable. Really,
yes, and steered me into the direction that they wanted me to go. And that one was very challenging for me. This was a person who wanted to cut me off from my family, from the few friends that I did have. And
that's never good. That's
isolate me.
Definitely, if there's isolation in any context, one relationship or in a group setting, then you get into some tricky waters.
Yes, absolutely, because you have no connection. You're vulnerable. You're alone. You have no one to talk to. You have no one to bounce things off of. Is this okay?
Yeah.
I'm feeling this way. Is this,
But also you're being told a certain thing by a controlling person.
Right.
Like that,
and you have no clarity because you don't have the ability to make a connection with someone else and say, I'm hurting or I'm not sure about this, or just letting that person watch from the outside and bring their concern.
Voice is getting stolen, in that context.
Yes. And it's very much what it felt like. And so that kind of went on for a while. And then my eyes started to open to, hold on a minute, this person's telling me things that aren't true to get me to, not like certain people or be distant. And it eventually ended with, I had to basically one night pack a suitcase and I was in Florida at the time. I flew from Florida to North Carolina. My sister said, come and stay with me.
Wow.
And she's incredible. She was the only one in my family at that time who saw me and said, something's not right. I can't cut you off. I can't cut you out of my life because you need someone. And so I stayed with her and I did a lot of healing. And
gave you a soft place to land. And
and I got to spend a lot of time with my two nieces and my nephew who are incredible. And,
very close with.
In a way, I felt like we grew up together because I was doing a lot of growing and they were. And it was just really beautiful. It was a really beautiful time for me to figure out who I was as a person, like truly be like, okay, who is Emmaline?
Yes.
What is your favorite color? What foods do you like or not like?
Right.
Because no one was telling me what I should or shouldn't do.
That's like on Runaway Bride, the old Julia Roberts movie. And she never knew what eggs she liked because she liked whatever eggs the guy liked that she was with. That is more often than not something that, happens. And to not have a voice, to not have your own kind of agency, those are things that are super valuable and that you have to grab hold of. And even learn. You may not be aware of it, but then to learn.
And I wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't aware of it at all until I started.
It's no shade. It's just like you're not aware of it until you are.
Right. Like my sister and I would go out to lunch or out somewhere and I would look at a menu and be like, I don't even know what I want to eat. I don't even know what I like. I had a person who was telling me what I wanted to eat, telling me what clothes to wear, all of these things. And I was just kind of like...
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting, Emmaline, because no one would look at you today and think that was part of your story, part of your journey, because you're so strong and self-assured and you're a businesswoman. And so to go from that to where you are today, I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful journey. And real kudos to you for, taking those strides, taking those steps forward.
Thank you. I think it is kind of, I had that growth where I said, I'm not going to let this happen to me again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I do have a voice.
Exactly. You do have a voice.
Yeah. And I didn't have that. I think even from a young age as a child, it was very much, this is what you do. There wasn't a lot of room for those things or dialogue with my parents to have conversations. And there wasn't a lot of encouragement to try something new, try something different, discover who you are. So here I am. I was
be an independent thinker.
And there I was at 28 years old going, okay, well, who am I now? And I took a lot of time to realize that the me that I was quieting because everyone had told me you're too much, you're too loud, you're too this. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. And if I'm too much for some people, that's okay.
It's okay. Exactly.
Maybe we just don't mesh.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm still going to respect you. And we're all humans and we're all doing this thing. And so I really took a while to grow. And then I met my husband, Kevin, who I own the business with. We met and he said, let me take you on a date. And I said, no, I'm not dating anyone. You don't understand what I've been through. I'm not doing this.
Right. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I was just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And he was very respectful, very sweet. It was like, okay, fine. We continued to talk a little bit. And then he said, please we'll go on one date. And if it doesn't work for you, like,
good. Yeah. No pressure.
Right. Yeah. And we went on one date and then we were just inseparable ever since. So we've been together for about 10 years now.
That's amazing.
And he's my best friend.
Yep.
He encourages me every day. He sees me for who I am, which is very new. And it's still, sometimes I'm still like, wow, you care about the things I like, or, it's really beautiful to find a person who is your partner, but your best friend. And, we've been together for 10 years, but I love spending time with him. I love being with him. And opening a business, we were like, okay, how's this going to affect our relationship? Because now we're business partners, but I think it's really helped us grow stronger. We communicate better.
Yep. Which you really have to.
You have to. Because you have to be able to say, okay, this is my husband, this is my best friend, but this is also my business partner. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to communicate differently about things about the business.
Yep. And you can't only and always talk about the business.
Yes.
Like you still have to have other interests, other things that are separate and apart from that.
Right. And that was a learning experience.
And it can be very consuming because small business...
You're always going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like it's running. You always have to be going. And that was a learning experience for me because I am very passionate about what I do. I love what I do. Mm-hmm. And
you have a lot of responsibility, people to care for.
And I love to talk to him about everything. So we had to learn this boundary of like, okay, let's turn off work talk.
This episode of the Offer Your Voice podcast is sponsored by Brown Dog Coffee Company in beautiful downtown Burgaw, where we micro roast our coffee daily.
Come see us at the shop, 103 West Fremont Street, for great coffee and good vibes.
Or visit us online at browndogcoffeeco.com.
Emmaline, on the kind of your transition from healing from the one relationship to Kevin, what would you say happened in that process? Like what would you say happened within you? Because so often when people, and I don't want to label it anything that you don't say it is, but it feels like domestic, violence really when somebody is assaulting your frame, your character, controlling you, not giving you, as Michelle said, agency. Then what does that look like? How did your worth build and expand? I know your sister, I'm sure, was there just kind of with arms wide open. You had someone who believed in you, which I know is part of the process. Yeah. But anyway, just Tell us what some of that looked like so we kind of know how you can go from this to this and what the process is.
That's good.
Between.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I would classify it as domestic abuse. In the beginning, I didn't. Because I was like, well, there wasn't that much physical stuff happening, and it was more, emotional, and it was more manipulative, but those are also forms of abuse.
Yeah.
When it changes your whole framework of who you are and you become controlled by a person that is mental and physical abuse to me, can be one and the same. But I struggled with realizing that for myself for a long time because I look at other people who have gone through relationships that are much worse and who have had things happen to them at younger ages. And, I always thought, well, it's not the same. I'm not. But I think realizing that I am a survivor of that has helped me become who I am and kind of helped me start that transition to being a stronger person.
And even being an advocate for others.
Yes. Yeah. And I think being able to say it's okay, no matter how small the thing has happened to you, or, if you feel manipulated by a person, that's not okay. Yeah. Just because someone isn't putting their hands on you doesn't mean that the way they're treating you is fine. And so realizing that for me is what kind of started my transition into like, okay, how do I kind of overcome this, and how do I, process this and turn it into something that's going to help me be a stronger person. And a lot of it was just being with my sister. And she was just very loving. She saw me go through things that were really hard, and she, that she didn't understand at the time why I couldn't just say, well, forget it. I'm not going to talk to him anymore. That was really eye-opening for me as well to see someone, to finally be able to have someone see what's happening to me.
Yeah.
And it made me really want to overcome that. Yeah. And I took
to be seen and known.
Yeah.
Like that's personal. That takes it to the next place as well, that you're like, she sees me and she knows me. Yes. And I can overcome this, because that's truly what you are. You're, yes, a survivor, but you're an overcomer as well. And so to even acknowledge that and your strength in that, because I hear what you're saying. I hear you. And I appreciate, but also there is never once that is okay when someone mistreats you. And so I think even the one time is not okay.
Yes.
So it's certainly, if it's a pattern, that's even more problematic. And Michelle's heard me say before, like, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That person was a liar. When we used to say that as children, I'm like, what is that? No, words actually do really hurt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's a terrible thing to say. No, I would not rather have a stick thrown at me than words, because that's still just as awful.
Right.
Yeah. But either way, it's
sometimes words, sometimes those stick with you longer.
They do. Yeah, exactly. So I think that I just don't want you to also, just as us as your friends, to minimize that either, because you have pressed through, you pressed forward, you dug deep, and you are an overcomer.
Well, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That's very sweet of you.
It's true though. It's true. You took the next step and the next step and the next step to get you to a place of healing, to a place of wholeness, to a place that you could sort of let your heart be vulnerable again, to even potentially meet Kevin and go on that date with him.
Yeah, that is true.
It took time. It's okay. That's okay. You get to take the time that you need. Yeah,
and I think that's an important thing to realize too. Is like, you can look at someone. You can look at me now and say like, oh, she's got it all together. She runs a business. She did this stuff. The journey is very important, and you can't rush that. It took me, years to figure out who I was again. And, Kevin helped me with that a lot by just loving me and supporting me. But you can't say, okay, today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be different. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be healed. I'm not going to think about that thing anymore. You have to allow yourself time and space to feel your emotions, to process. That's how you grow.
That's right.
And that's really what it was for me, spending that time. I spent about a year with my sister at her house. And it was really my time to just kind of grow and figure out who I was. And
it's good.
I made some great friends. I worked at a little organic market in Jacksonville, and I made some really sweet friends who eventually, their husbands were in the military, so they moved away. But there was a time where
in that season
I was starting to learn how to connect with people. And it was really eye-opening for me, because I was discovering that people liked me for me.
Yes.
Not because of who I was attached to. So that was, I think, really a big boost in me being able to say, okay,
your confidence
I'm confident in who I am. And,
that's right.
I can figure this out. And, so it was just, I think it was just a lot of work, introspective work, and realizing that just because someone tells you this is who you are, this is what you like, if it doesn't feel good, you have to look inside and, do the work to figure out who you are, and you'll be much happier. I'm much happier now being able to say, no, I'm myself. This is who I am. I'm not going to mask myself for anyone,
Well, authenticity, I mean, people are craving, authenticity in relationship, in who they are, and putting that forward. I mean, that's key. You don't want to have some kind of mask, like you said, just like not a mask. You want to be truly who you are. But sometimes you have to sort of dig deep to find out, what are those places? Like, who am I? Yeah. And I mean, those are sort of human questions from day one.
Yeah. And I think we don't allow ourselves to ask those sometimes because we're just going.
Sure.
And we're in the social media age, which everybody, we're not connecting with each other face to face. We're not spending time. We're not spending time saying, how are you?
Yes.
How was your day? Right. What are the things that you have going on this week? We're just kind of seeing a glimpse of what people want to put out there. And it's not really, for me, it doesn't feel like true connection.
That's why it's so wonderful having a space like the coffee shop or like the brewery, because those are places people connect.
Yes.
I say it all the time that we want to be like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And same thing for the brewery. Like, you're coming in, people are every day, they're like, hey, and in Burgaw, we don't have a ton of different places. And so a lot of times people are 2 and 3 times a week there, and which is wonderful. And we have our regulars, and it makes such a difference.
Yeah, I think that was really
because those are connections.
And that was really my goal with, I think, wanting to do a brewery. And, other than the fact that my husband is a master brewer, he's been doing it for a long time, and he's great at what he does. Right. But
just speak on that for just a second. Tell a little bit about microbrewing. Like, tell just a little bit about that.
So just a little
excerpt into.
I don't get much involved in the brewing because it happens very, very early in the morning, and I like to sleep. So when Kevin gets up at 4:30 to go brew, I'm usually just like, okay, bye.
Yes. But it happens on site, which is
so we brew. We brew our beer on site.
And you see all it's all the tanks and everything.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And so all of our beer that we have a few guest beers occasionally, but everything we have is made on site.
I love it.
We have our 103 lager, which is our flagship beer because our 103, our addresses, a little nod to that. And Kevin just sort of, he's really good at what he does. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to him. He has taught me so much about beer and about different types of beer and what goes into it and tasting notes. Because when I met him, I was like, I don't like beer at all. Right. I was like, you can't get me to drink a beer. Right. And he was so sweet and took the time to say, oh, try this one. You might like something like this. You might like that. And now there's I'm just like, oh, well, I'll take a stout. I'll take a porter. I'll take, I am
options. Yes.
Yeah. So we brew all of our beer on site, and we transferred into these big tanks, and excitingly enough for me, and I don't know why I love this so much, when we pour the beer out of the taps, it goes up through our ceiling and comes back down.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's just so strange to me that I'm just like, this is all inside here just doing its magic.
Yeah, that's very cool. Fun.
But yeah,
it truly is a brewery. It's happening.
Yeah, we are doing it.
Yes, I love it.
And it's so strange for me to think that we've been open for 3 years, and I'm still like, oh, this is our life.
This is yours.
We get to live in a great community. We've created a community space, and we get to do what we love.
Yeah. You have awesome food, like just like us, good vibes.
Right. And that's the goal. And I think I learned a lot of that from you, Michelle, from my time working at Brown Dog.
It's so cool.
Because
you were like, I'm bored, Michelle. I need something to do while I'm waiting for the brewery to get
while we were waiting for it to finish. And I was just like, please, can I work for you?
Yeah, let's just do it.
And it really taught me.
Being a barista. Love it.
Why? I mean,
everybody wants to be a barista, right?
Everybody does. It's like this cool thing where you're like, I'm a barista. But like, I also loved Brown Dog Coffee before I worked there. So I was just like, I'm happy to get behind this, you know?
Yes.
And you were so sweet and so gracious and said, yes, you can come and work for me.
100%. Yeah. It was hard to let you go.
I know there's still times when I'm like, I just want to go back.
I need to go.
I just want to help them and make drinks and have fun. But I loved it. And it was really a big time for me growth wise because I had lived in Burgaw for a little while, for a couple years. And we went through the pandemic, which was, very isolating for everybody. And here I am trying to like get to know my community and, do all of these things. And
what better way than the coffee shop?
Yeah. And so I got to really meet a lot of people, meet a lot of the regulars, really get to know the community. And I feel like that's when I really started to feel like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Because I connected. Yeah. Yeah. And even if it was just that moment of, hi, what can I get for you today? Or, seeing somebody and saying, hey, good morning, Freddie. I know exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's
today.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It gives you a sense of community and just seeing that person smile because know you remembered them and they're having that morning connection.
They feel the value that they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just.
And you've cultivated that right over at the brewery. So it's very amazing.
Thank you. But I learned a lot of that just from being in Brown Dog feeling the energy and the vibe that you create and how everyone is welcome. And I just wanted to carry that.
It's beautiful.
I think it was one of those things where I wanted that, but I didn't know I was capable of creating that until you gave me a platform to explore.
That's so good, Emmaline. Thank you for saying that. So sweet. But that you have it. You have it in your own right. But I know what you're saying. You need like a little.
It gave you kind of a confidence, a safety net space to be able to do that. And I think
I felt supported. Here I am working for my friend who I love so much, who I was honored that you trusted me to be in there. And it was just.
And thankfully you still have a key to the coffee shop because sometimes I have to call on you to handle things if I'm out of town. Like, oh, Emmaline.
Right. Yeah. That's why I'm so close by.
That's exactly right.
I think that's another beautiful thing about our friendship, but about having community.
Yes.
That we're here to help each other, whether it's on the friendship side, on the business side.
That's right.
And getting together and collaborating and saying, how can we collaborate? Or how can we solve this problem together? Or, hey, I'm having this issue. What's your advice? Or, those things are so valuable. And I think especially as a woman in business, women tend to kind of do that thing where I want to be the best one. And I don't want somebody else to outshine me. And I don't want somebody else to, to outgrow what I'm doing. But why not support each other?
Tide lifts all ships. I mean, it's true. I know that's like a cliche and people say it, but it is true. If we're in it together, then there is a collaboration that is exponential.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's something that you're both good at, and
you as well, Gina.
Well, thank you. But I as business owners in hospitality and in all the, that realm, it can be sort of like, I got to dull the shiny on you because you can't be shinier than me. And neither one of you do that. You are encouragers of one another, even when you're not around, and it's like, oh, do you know what, Emmaline said about you? It was so great. Like, I just want to share. Do you know what Michelle said about you? It was so great. Like, I just want to share, that's the kind of character and culture that you've both created. And I think that that's something really lovely too, that is necessary for women, for young women to learn.
Yes.
And for older women to grab hold of and begin to teach. If they haven't grabbed hold of it, it's never too late. Grab hold of it and then be that, because you really can, encouragement is one of those things that, yes, we do that for the other person, but it truthfully, and not that we do it for this reason, it makes us look better. It just makes us look, it shines you up when you encourage someone else, because it says, I have enough in me. And this is not this statement even can sound a little self-righteous, and that's not what is meant by it. But even in saying that, or, oh, is there a place here to eat? Got to go to the brewery. Is there a great cup of coffee? Yeah, you got to go to Brown Dog. It's those places that you don't feel like you're in competition. And even if your businesses were alike, I mean, they're not. And so that makes it probably, I don't want to say easier, that's an unfair statement, but even if there was another little coffee shop in town, it still might be like, hey, they have great, XYZ. I don't know what you do in that situation. But the reality is that you guys have been so great about that.
You just do your best in what you do. And you offer that.
And confident, and to your point,
of it.
Back to your point, and not being, that draw between cocky and confident, that, sometimes if women are confident, they're, all of a sudden there's
we get labeled as, you're, you're so cocky, you're so stuck up. And I think it's important, like you said, is being able to speak genuinely and kindly about someone when they're not around.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's true friendship.
Well, that's authenticity.
That's authenticity. And that's
truth.
And I think for us,
and that's true friendship.
Right. It is true friendship. Yes. And I think what you said about teaching younger women and then maybe older women seeing that and beginning to teach that, the businesses that we both run, we employ young people, we employ a lot of young women. And if we can be that example to show them that you can encourage other people, you can be kind, you can love, you can create these connections, and it's not going to dull you at all.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's no reason for you to say, well, I don't want so-and-so to do better than me. No, you want her to do great.
That's right.
That's right.
Because you know what? If you're rooting for her, she's going to root for you. And a rising tide floats all ships.
That's right.
And I think that's something that more young women need to be taught.
That's right.
It's not a competition.
Right.
Why? Who's going to support us if we don't support each other?
Right.
And
really that overflows out of a genuine heart in your relationship with one another, and then also for the good of your community, of your town. I mean, for sure we want Burgaw to flourish, and we want all of the businesses in our area and the families and, even like the little kids sports teams and the parks, all the different things, and then having a pulse on that and involvement with that, like you being involved with the Parks Foundation, all of those things, us being involved with the Chamber of Commerce, as you as well as a member, and just having those connections, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it shows our community that we're not just here to run a business.
Right.
We truly support this community from the ground up.
Yeah.
I'm on the Parks and Rec board, so I do a lot with the Parks and Rec. Park planning, things like, okay, we're going to get this grant. How should we spend it? What does the community want? Currently, the Parks Foundation, they're trying to raise a lot of money for a community splash pad that people have been asking for years and years, and we didn't think it was a possibility until our parks director, Cody, he's amazing. And Jana, who works with him, and David, they have such a heart for our community. And again, it's a way that, I'm involved because I love this community, but they inspire me every time we're in a meeting, and just seeing how they're like, no, this is my job, but I also truly care about
it's a goal for the good of the kids of this community and the families, and
how hard they work, especially with the fundraising and for the splash pad, just like how hard the three of them work, and the foundation board members, everybody coming together and working. That's community within community, and it's really beautiful to see, and it's really great to be a part of it because it's very inspiring. And for me, it's a no-brainer because I love my community, and if I could be even more involved and I had more time, or if I could clone myself, I would.
Sure.
Because it's just something that is.
Well, it's like you said, you're paying it forward by your example for those folks that you employ, and then also the people in the community. So, I mean, those are all valuable expressions, insights, so that people know.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think you do the same thing with working with the chamber, and, all these things that we do behind the scenes that we don't necessarily, they're not so entwined with our business that we're putting it out there in that way, but we're doing it because we love to be part of this community. And we, yes, we want to be,
people matter.
We want to be successful, but we want to be successful in many ways. And one of that is cultivating, our community and being there for people.
So good. But I also love just your, kind of the journey of your story and seeing how what could have been a stolen voice or even a, kind of a smothered voice, if you will, that you allowed yourself to heal, you grew, and then you, as you said, will be here just about as much time as you've lived in the longest place that you had lived in your life in Pennsylvania. And you've established that, though. You've allowed yourself to continue healing here, to grow with Kevin, to grow in the business, to do the next things. But then you've really established yourself here. Like you've gotten involved in boards and community events and all these different things that also says, hey, I am for this, but I am for this.
Yeah.
And so it's such a broader picture of what your journey could look like. For so many of us, it looks linear, but you've allowed yours to become like, the flashlight gets turned on and then the light just kind of penetrates all the places. And that's sort of, what I see in you. And it's been my pleasure even to work with you at Brown Dog for part of that season, because we got to do a drink together.
I know, we created a drink.
Winter drink, the Winter Wonderland.
Well, to that point, Gina, I think for me, there was a moment right before I came to North Carolina, my friend who came and picked me up from where I was living, took me to her house. She said to me, you can get on a plane tomorrow and you can leave and you can start your life over, or you can be dead by next year. And I still think about that sometimes, because in that moment when I still felt very, weak and not sure, and she gave me the courage to say, I'm going to put this foot forward and I'm going to start this journey. And I think it's easy for me to want to be involved here because I think my whole life I've longed for community, and I finally found a place where I, value the people here, but they value me.
Yeah.
Which is so different. But it feels really nice. And it gives me the courage and the confidence to say, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep growing. And how can I help?
Well, belonging is so important and just as a human value. And like you mentioned earlier, so many people are super isolated. And so to have a place that people can come and be connected, and even in just our town and community, I mean, all of those things matter so very much. And so I'm just thankful for you, for your friendship, and for the space, this beautiful space that you've created just around the corner. And we get to be in life together. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It really is.
It really is. And I thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being my friend, both of you, and, seeing me at my worst and my best and still loving me anyway and encouraging me. I value you both so much. So
Same.
Thank you. And it's been really cool to see how Brown Dog has grown just since, I moved here and working there, and all the things that you guys are doing with this beautiful event space. And it's like that thing where I'm just like cheering for my friends, because I love it. And it's just so inspiring. And I hope it's inspiring for other people that you can make things happen.
That's right.
You can make things happen.
That's right. If you have a dream in your heart and then you have the people that you're running with that are your people, and you just do it. And then even just like sharing your journey, and like Gina said, the beauty of you sort of laying claim to your life and then taking that next step and that next step and that next step, and then where you are now and where you will be in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, those are milestones or marker moments. And like you just said, 3 years, the brewery has been, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to navigate small business, these days. It's tough.
Faint of heart.
No,
right?
yeah. Some days it is like, you're just like, what am I doing?
What are we doing? Exactly.
Well, it's an audacious move to have a small business. It really is.
Absolutely. But then friendship and your community, it all makes it worth it. And so is there anything that you would like to share kind of with the podcast folks? Any last thoughts, or because we're kind of coming up, sadly, on the end of it, but we're going to have you back on again.
Okay. Yes, I would love that. Yeah. I would love that.
But is there any sort of last thoughts that you want to share with them at the end of this episode, or something that you, maybe a life lesson or something, some insight that you would want to give or offer?
I think just to really say, reach out if you feel.
That's good.
If you feel like you need someone in any regard, like if you're just having an off day or you're in a situation that doesn't feel comfortable, or, raise your hand, because there's going to be a friend, there's going to be someone who will say, I've got you. I'm here for you.
Yeah. So good.
Don't minimize yourself. You matter.
You matter. That's right.
Yeah. And people want to hear your voice. They want to hear your story.
Yes.
They want to help you heal.
They do.
So don't stay quiet. Be as loud as you need to be.
That's exactly right.
I've learned that.
That's exactly
Be as loud as you need to be.
Yeah. Offer your voice.
Exactly.
Offer your voice. That's right.
Yeah.
Anything that you wanted to share, Gina, any last thought?
No, I think that I'm just going to say that again. Like, I think that we teach people how to treat us, and so be a good teacher, and you are a good teacher. And so I think that is an advocacy for all of us, to be good teachers in our own lives, because to your point, and even what Michelle said, we have to love ourselves. And that is not in this way that people would like. We have to put ourselves somewhere in the room.
Absolutely.
Most of the time we're in the next room over, and putting everyone else first. Mm-hmm. And we have to be able to even put one foot in front of the other. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a beautiful testament to even just your life's journey, and even the things that kind of are core inside of you that, we would love to hear about next time too. Just some of those things, those pillars in your own life. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So grateful for your friendship too.
I think of our closing quote would be just, to thine own self be true.
Yes.
That you are
so fitting.
Yeah. Just you value and you voice and you offer and you give, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you matter.
Thank you.
It's good.
That's a great, that's a great quote.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast. And everyone, until next time, we'll see you down the road.